ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow parliamentarian Lord Mackay. First of all, could I welcome you all here on this rather glorious, very early morning start. I don't know about you, but when I got up it was dark. But it's great to have you all here. We're going to have actually a very interesting debate today. If you've not been here before, please take the surroundings as a great place to have the sort of discussion that I hope we're going to entail through the morning. I think that the topic that we've picked, and if I can just get my paper, tackling unemployment and social mobility through business and enterprise, is actually such a poignant title for today, given that we're going through some very torrid economic times. The unemployment figures came out yesterday, and so I'm hoping that Amar sets the agenda for us having a real good discussion. We've got some fantastic panellists that I will introduce to you as they come up to speak. But I would like you all to take this opportunity to really engage in what some of us think sometimes is a muted debate, it's a one-sided debate. What we want to be able to do is have a really good debate today, listen to what you're saying, but also, I'm sure Geoff will agree, we will actually take back some of the challenges that you will pose.
If this country was run more like a business, surely looking at your financial accounts, you'd want to minimise your costs and liabilities and increase your income and assets, right? Entrepreneurs, especially those who come from the most disadvantaged backgrounds, who've been a high cost, are liabilities turned into assets and contributing and income generating assets at that. We all want the same thing here. What I'm actually questioning is how. The how. And that's what I'm challenging the government on. Startup Britain, and Raj will corroborate this, is still not funded by central government. What young people need are, one, positive role models, exactly what Dr Hilary Emery just said. They need a stable environment. And they need an incentive. Why should I get a job? And they also need that sense of aspiration. Where is my hope? You know, where is my hope of achieving something in life? Getting people from marginalised backgrounds to become more entrepreneurial and find opportunities to work or create their own jobs by setting up their own businesses is crucial to our country's deficit reduction. For me, when we set up TSBC, it was about bringing my experience and 4 key core values to everything that we do. And one of those 4 key core values is a stable environment. Maslow's hierarchy of needs says the physiological needs of people are one of the most important before we can actually get to the self-esteem and success level that most entrepreneurs get to. So we've actually built in that to our intervention. So we actually work with a multi-agency approach.
In terms of big business involvement, I think, as Geoff has said, the way we get business to really get involved is seeing that it's not just CSR. There is a clear business benefit in getting involved with the community. We've just done a partnership, for example, with Santander Bank, where we're creating a platform for Santander's SME customers to take on students and graduates. Now, this isn't just a CSR program, this is a business that sits within their corporate banking team, because it's a way of them engaging with their customer base and adding value and helping them with talent. So if businesses become more creative about the ways they engage with the community, that could be a complete win-win for both helping startups and entrepreneurs and helping the corporates themselves.
The wider responsibility of schools around well-being is at the heart of what Patricia is concerned about, because it isn't just those who get to the very extremes of issues around, for example, ending up drinking very young. A whole host of other issues arise for young people that mean that they may disengage anywhere between 12 and 14. And if we don't have schools understanding that if they don't link into the health issues, particularly childhood, adolescent mental health issues, then many of them are not going to be ready to do any of these things. So this is about a whole partnership of business, of the community, of the services, and of the school helping to play that central orchestrating point in the middle.
Last year, similarly, we set up an initiative called Breaking the Cycle. We hear these fluffy terms all the time, breaking the cycle, you know. But actually what we tried to do with this initiative was to get young people into practical work experience, bridge that gap. So one young person every 8 weeks gets a chance to get paid work experience with one of our corporate partners, working alongside the CEO and the Global Business Development Director on the sales team. They're entrepreneurial young people that we work with. Why not utilise their skills? There are gaps in businesses that need to be filled.
Thank you. As Baroness said, I work in the labour market disadvantage team at the DWP. So we deal with policies around people, for example, who have addiction, who are homeless, ex-offenders, a lot of people who really do have difficulty engaging or re-engaging in the labour market. And obviously times are challenging for everybody in terms of employment at the moment. I think there's been increasingly a view that the first call on any problem is for the government to solve, and I think the current government wants to move away from that. I also think that there's a growing realisation in business that what happens in communities is important to business. You know, if people are unemployed, businesses can't thrive. People don't have money to spend on services. And I think there's a dawning realisation, and I think this is part of what the big society message, which has been kind of blurred, I think, and people not quite understanding. But I think that's essential tenet of that is in everybody's interest, including business, that society functions properly.
Radical thing might be for DWP to think about, rather than give the money to people like A4E or the work programme providers, why not make that outcome to the employer who's created the outcome for taking them on? So why should it go to these intermediaries? If this is to shift in the business model, shift it right the way to the person who's causing the outcome to happen, which is the employer. So what we're trying to do at internships is really highlight entrepreneurship as a viable and rewarding career path by exposing students and graduates to entrepreneurial work placements, which we call internships, in startups and small companies. And in the process to create a new word and a culture change where doing an internship in a startup would have the same kudos, if not more, than doing an internship in Goldman Sachs.
I know for a fact that getting this country kick-started is not just about setting up new businesses. It's also the responsibility of current businesses out there to start reinvesting back in society and helping the local communities, employing some of those young people. We said they don't hire people at the moment. Organisations like Raj's internships.com are promoting brilliantly to young graduates who probably face equally the same amount of unemployment as some of the young people that we've been talking about. By brokering in entrepreneurial work placements and start-up businesses, that is what young people need. They need practical work experience.
To be honest, I don't think DWP has a very good track record on helping people engage in entrepreneurial activities.
With global entrepreneurship happening this week, now is the most important time to be discussing how we can get young people to really realise that they can truly not only just take a job but also make a job. So thank you very much.
It is not the government that's going to get our country out of a recession. It is grafters and entrepreneurs. Did you know that small businesses actually account for 99% of businesses in this country and 25% of the private sector income?
School is not supporting them, school is not meeting their needs, understanding where they're coming from. Because if you've progressed into secondary school still with poor reading skills, poor writing skills and poor mathematics skills, engaging and learning is blooming difficult. We've just done an evaluation of some work we did with JP Morgan and Nokia on life skills for employability. Working with 300 young people at risk in Lambeth and Waltham Forest. And what we found was that the project actually had developed them in terms of what were the life skills they wanted. Working with them about what are the skills you need to develop to feel confident about looking for a job, becoming a volunteer, often a big step towards going towards a real job for many of them, and looking at taking part and supporting others. Huge improvement in their perceptions of themselves and their skills.
The work that we're doing at TSBC, supporting young people, children in schools, thanks to partners like State Street, who fund us to actually go out into schools and inspire hundreds of young people every year, is actually bridging this gap that we have. So when I meet the Prime Minister's advisors at Number 10 in 2 weeks on enterprise, I will reiterate exactly what I said to the Prime Minister at the launch of Startup Britain.
Today's event at the House of Lords was fantastic, and I really admire Amar for creating this, because I think the issues that we discussed is so important. How do we get the enterprise culture into a structure which actually knows nothing about enterprise? I think some really good points came out today.
The whole issue of youth unemployment and social mobility is such a pressing matter. With the youth unemployment figures out yesterday, shooting over the 1 million mark, it's really important that we get young people into employment or are looking at entrepreneurship as a career path. So today's event at the House of Lords really helps to elevate the issue and highlight how